The morning my wife had me escorted out of my own family office, she did it in front of the portrait my daughter painted for my 60th birthday. That was the detail that stayed with me. Not the guard's hand at my elbow, not the associates pretending to study their phones, not even my wife, Celeste, standing beneath the letters Vance Legacy Holdings, telling security, "Mr. Vance is no longer authorized to enter this floor." It was the portrait. My daughter had painted me younger than I was, one hand on the balcony rail of the old Charleston house I saved from foreclosure before I built the company. Beneath it, she'd written, "For the man who never let us lose home." Celeste had placed the removal order directly under that sentence. I looked at the guard, then at my wife of 27 years. "Unauthorized?" I asked. She didn't blink. "The board voted at 7:40. "It's 7:43. "Yes," she said. "You're late to your own ending. There are lines a man remembers forever because they reveal how long the knife was already in. My name is Graham Vance. I built a trust company from one foreclosed property, one legal pad, and the kind of hunger people romanticize only after you survive it. By 60, I learned the fastest way to erase a man is not to kill him. It is to declare him unstable in a room full of people who profit from believing it." My younger sister Lenora was waiting beside Celeste in a cream suit I had paid for, in another form. 20 years of rescuing her from herself. Beside Lenora stood Owen Hart, my godson, polished, devoted. I had funded his law degree after his father drank himself into a grave. Now he would not meet my eyes. That hurt more than Celeste. A wife can betray your bed. A godson can betray your faith. Only one makes you feel foolish for ever believing kindness creates loyalty. "On what grounds?" I asked. Owen finally spoke, voice soft and rehearsed. "The emergency governance clause. Concerns about cognitive fitness, judgment volatility, and unauthorized exposure of client assets." I smiled, not because it was funny, because when a lie is built that quickly, it always carries fingerprints. "Judgment volatility," I repeated. "Which lawyer wrote it?" Lenora crossed her arms. "Don't do this here, Graham." "This," I said, glancing at the guards and reception desk, "appears to be where you wanted it." Celeste stepped closer. "Please don't make a scene. Sign the temporary medical leave acknowledgement. Go home, and let the firm stabilize. Go home. To the townhouse titled in our marital trust. To the study where I taught Owen balance sheets. To the kitchen where my daughter's mug sat upside down 3 months after she stopped speaking to me. That was the real wound. 3 months earlier, Amelia had cut me out of her life after an argument about her fiancé, Julian Sloan. She had told me, crying, "You don't protect this family, Dad. You control it." Celeste had stood beside her and said nothing. Maybe that was their strategy. Strip the office first. Let the daughter-shaped hole finish the job. I held out my hand to Owen. "Show me the resolution." Celeste answered instead. "You won't be receiving internal documents until council approves access." There it was. Not exile. Preparation. A man removed in minutes is one thing. A man pre-papered before sunrise is another, which meant this had not begun with the board. It had begun inside my house. Then the elevator behind them opened, and Amelia stepped out holding a notarized envelope with my name on it. Amelia did not look at me first. She looked at her mother. "Dad," she said, but it landed weakly. I took the envelope from her hand. Notarized separation demand. Petition for temporary suspension of my control rights under the family trust pending psychiatric evaluation. Attached was a statement from Dr. Levin, a concierge physician I had met twice at charity dinners, alleging paranoia and financial irrationality. Lenora inhaled as if she expected me to explode. Instead, I folded the packet once and slid it into my coat. "You forged concern elegantly," I said. Celeste's jaw tightened. "No one forged anything." "Then Dr. Levin is braver than I thought." Owen stepped in. "Graham, this can still stay private." There is a special insult in telling a man his public humiliation is mercy. I looked at him. When your father died, I paid for the suit you buried him in. You do not get to lecture me about privacy while standing in my office wearing my enemy's handwriting. The reception area had gone silent. Amelia finally met my eyes. Please, just go home. I could have endured the board coup. I could have survived my wife. But when my daughter said please the way strangers do when they want a nuisance removed, something colder than anger settled into place. I nodded to the guard. You can let go now. He did. I straightened my cuffs, looked once at the portrait beneath the insult, and walked to the elevator without another word. That was 7:48 a.m. By 8:12, every top-tier client had received a governance continuity notice signed by Celeste, Lenora, and Owen, naming Owen interim managing steward. By 8:17, my access cards, servers, and signing authority were frozen. At 8:23, a financial blog posted an anonymous item, aging trust founder sidelined after concerning behavior. Graham, my banker said carefully, there's been an attempt to trigger a morality review on your personal lending facilities. That was when the truth widened. This was not a family quarrel. This was an asset seizure. I was in the back of a town car while my life was being translated into paperwork designed to make resistance look like proof. I called only one person, Evelyn March, my former sister-in-law, widow of my older brother, and the most dangerous forensic accountant I had ever met. We had not spoken in 2 years because she once told me Celeste was building a shadow structure inside the family entities, and I called it bitterness. She answered on the second ring. Well, she said, did your wife finally decide to kill you professionally or personally? Both. Where are you? 2 blocks from Broad. Come to the old carriage house. Bring every device you still control. And Graham, yes? If Amelia was at the office, then this began long before today. I ended the call. I answered an unknown number. A man's voice, calm and amused. Mr. Vance, I'm engaged to your daughter, and by noon I'll be majority beneficiary of the redevelopment parcel your company spent 19 years protecting. He continued, your wife thought you'd scream first. I told her you were too proud. There it was. The visible betrayal had been my removal. The real betrayal was land. Land I had protected for a reason no one but family should have known. And Julian knew it, which meant someone inside my blood had sold him more than access. They had sold him legacy. Then he said the sentence that made revenge no longer optional. She told us that after your son died, you stopped thinking clearly. My son had been dead 11 years. No one who loved me used his grave as leverage. For 11 years, no one in this family spoke Daniel's name in negotiation. That had been the only sacred rule left. Julian used it like a crowbar. By the time I reached Evelyn's carriage house, the grief had already finished turning into mathematics. Old brick, iron gate. 3 locked cabinets of forensic archives from cases that had ended marriages, charities, and once a Senate career. Evelyn did not greet with warmth. She greeted with a legal pad and espresso. Start with the first lie that felt too smooth, she said. Dr. Levin, the psychiatric narrative, Owen's emergency clause, and Julian knows about the Charleston redevelopment parcel. Her eyes sharpened. Then, they found the dead letter covenant. I went still. Only 4 people knew the truth behind Parcel 9. Me, Celeste, Amelia, and Daniel before the accident. 19 years earlier, when Daniel was 16, he had convinced me not to sell the waterfront block to a casino group. We rebuilt it instead as protected family housing tied to a covenant. No liquidation, no rezoning, no consolidation without unanimous blood heir approval. After Daniel died, that covenant became the only thing in this empire that still felt like a promise. Now, Julian wanted it. Evelyn was already inside the ledgers I had mirrored years ago because paranoia, when you survive long enough, becomes wisdom. The first hit came fast. Celeste had created 3 shell advisory firms over 14 months. Lenora routed governance consulting fees into them. Owen drafted the legal memos justifying capacity contingencies. Those funds then moved into a development SP5 tied to Julian's holding company. Not greed. Preparation for replacement. Then Evelyn found the real knife. Amelia's digital signature sat on the unanimous blood-air consent packet. I stared at the screen. "No," I said. Evelyn didn't soften it. Either she signed willingly, or someone used her token. My daughter's silence over the past 3 months suddenly changed shape. The distance, the rehearsed coldness, the way she said please this morning like she was standing inside someone else's script. Then my phone buzzed. A private video link. No sender name. I opened it. Amelia. She was in what looked like a conference room, mascara streaked, voice shaking. "Dad, if you're seeing this, something went wrong." Julian said, "This was only to protect Mom from your reaction. I didn't know it touched Daniel's covenant. I didn't know they used my biometric token after the dinner at Seabrook." She swallowed hard. "Owen told me the psychiatric petition was temporary pressure. Mom said once you stepped aside, the family would be safer, but Julian met with Ridge Capital this morning. They're planning an emergency liquidation hearing at the courthouse at 4. If Parcel 9 transfers today, Daniel's housing trust dissolves. Then the line that wounded deeper than money. I thought they were trying to protect me from losing you. I didn't realize they were asking me to help erase my brother." The room around me disappeared for a second. Not because of betrayal, because my daughter had finally bled truth. Evelyn exhaled. "Good. She's alive inside this." Then the near loss arrived. At 1:20 p.m., my banker called again. "Graham, Ridge Capital just exercised the morality review. Your personal bridge facility is due by market close. If you default, your controlling preferred shares go into forced collateral transfer." Julian had built a countdown. Take the parcel by court at 4. Take my shares by 5. Turn a father into a ceremonial ghost before dinner. Elegant, cruel, almost admirable. I stood, buttoned my jacket, and called Owen first. He answered immediately, too confident. "Have you come to reason?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm calling to let you know the emergency clause you used this morning was void the moment Lenore's consulting fees touch beneficiary-linked entities." Silence. Then, what? "Self-dealing voids fiduciary emergency powers. You wrote the clause. You should have remembered." I hung up before panic could organize. Then I called Amelia. She answered, crying. "Dad, listen carefully. Go to the courthouse. Sit behind Julian. Say nothing. At exactly 3:55. Check your phone." "What are you doing?" "The thing you accused me of 3 months ago." A pause. "Controlling it?" "No," I said. "Protecting this family." At 3:58 p.m., inside a packed courthouse press hearing, Julian stood beside Celeste, Lenora, and Owen, ready to finalize the emergency parcel transfer. Then Evelyn walked in with the corrected ledgers. I followed 5 steps behind. Every camera turned. I took the microphone from the clerk's table and gave them the line that would become the thumbnail, the shorts hook, and the sentence that ended their power forever. "You didn't replace the patriarch," I said. "You tried to sell a dead son's promise, and now the whole city gets to watch who signed the grave away." Celeste's face emptied. Owen dropped his file. Julian turned to Amelia. She was already standing. "Not anymore," she said. The judge froze the transfer, referred the shell entities for criminal fraud review, and ordered an immediate forensic receivership over every trust instrument touched by the conspiracy. By 6 p.m., Ridge Capital withdrew. By 7, Owen was under bar investigation. Lenore's firms were frozen. Julian was publicly named in beneficiary fraud filings. Celeste lost marital control rights and every discretionary trust privilege she had weaponized. At 8, Amelia and I stood alone before Daniel's memorial bench on Parcel 9. She cried first. I didn't. I just placed my hand on the stone and said the final line that restored everything. They used your brother's silence as leverage, I told her, so I made their names louder than his grave.